This is the battle of life. When it comes to what we are supposed to do to determine that the planet will become either a habitation of God or to become a habitation of devil, God placed in front of man two pathways. Your inability to discern those two pathways will make you take a way that seems right in your eyes, but the end will be death. You know, most of the time we say things like man is the architect of his destiny. To an extent it is true, to an extent it's not true. It is true because some of the most painful and unfortunate tragedies of our time has been people with very good intentions, but their ways were wrong. It's not good to have good intentions. You must make sure that, or else with your good intentions you will commit a lot of errors. Is greatness wrong? No. But what is that pathway to greatness? In your life, the same thing. There are ultimately two ways every human being is going to choose from. If you choose from the right one, now, foolishness doesn't mean you are foolish. At the height of foolishness, it is a mixture of wisdom and nonsense. For example, here in Africa, everybody thinks the government is a parent. The government must provide our school fees. The government must take care of education. The government must take care of our health. The government must take. So, what will your parent take care of? That's why our nurses are not entrepreneurial. Our doctors are not entrepreneurial. Our engineers are not entrepreneurial. We are all waiting for the government to suck us in. Why can't 3 or 4 nurses that have computers will come together and set up an alternative or a para-health business to meet the large proportion of Africans that are getting sick? Woe to thee, O land, when your king is a child and your princess eat in the morning. What does it mean? It simply means that any community that has people that cannot sacrifice now for the future, they are doomed. Your children are doomed if you can't wait to put a ring on their mother before you have sex with her. You are eating in the morning. We still handle the matter of dominion, global dominion. And I remember that in our last meeting, we finalized that the ultimate goal of the battle for world domination is that our world and our planets will become habitations of spirits. And we said that the human project actually is so that our world will not become a habitation of just any spirit, but it's become a habitation of who? God. However, if we lose the battle in a generation, we will open our planet and our nations for them to become habitations of devils. That is what I want us to pick it up from. And then we look at one agenda, two pathways. One agenda, two pathways. Now that you have understood that the human project is to build communities and nations that become the home of God, so that God dwells among us. The question now is, how are we supposed to go about it? Because if the human life, the reason God gave it to us is so that we will spend our lives to build cultures, to build societies that become habitations of God. The question is, how do we go about it? And this is what we are going to look at in the topic of one agenda, two pathways. Now, God is a very wise God. And most of the times, the wisdom of God immediately does not look wise to us. Now, when God made us in his image after his likeness, I've told you over and over again, the intent was that human beings were going to partner with God to get it done. God was not going to be so responsible for the future of the planet and our lives. And we are also not going to be solely responsible for the future of our lives. But then it's going to be a partnership between us and who? God. You know, most of the time we say things like man is the architect of his destiny. It is to an extent it is true, to an extent it's not true. Now, it is true because there is something you must do, okay, that will secure the future you are looking for. But all does not depend on you. There are things that is beyond your realm of control and responsibility. There is very little you can do about it. For example, in Ghana here, you are not in government. So whatever the economy goes, you are not directly involved at the macro level. You are not directly responsible for it. If we wake up today and the inflation is somewhere high, it is not something you did personally. That is what caused it. I hope you get what I'm saying here. But the micro level, you are responsible for your life, who you marry, the kind of job you do. Are you hearing me? Irrespective of what is going on at the macro level. In the same way, when human beings have done all that they are supposed to do, it is still not enough, because God must be factored into the equation. God is the constant K. Christ, he's the constant C, or the constant K, Christos, that must be factored in. So there is the part of life where God must do his own, and there is other part of life where we must also what? Do our own. And that is because God made us in his image, after his likeness. I hope you are getting what I'm saying here. Now, when it comes to what we are supposed to do, to determine that the planet will become either a habitation of God or to become a habitation of devil, God placed in front of man two pathways. This is to say, for all of humanity and for your life, number one, for your family that you will build, for the nations we will build, for the communities we will build, there will always be two pathways that is calling out to us to choose. All those two pathways are promising us that if we follow them, our nations and our world will become habitations of God. But actually, of the two pathways, it's only one pathway that will lead us to that ultimate end. So there is one agenda. That true agenda is that the planet will become a habitation of what? God. However, in order to reach that goal, there are two ways that is calling out to man. But of the two ways, there's only one true way that will lead to that ultimate goal. And that's what I'm calling that one agenda, but then two pathways. Now, in the earliest 20th century, in the 1900s coming, okay, those of you that do a little social studies and political studies, you realize that during the 1900s coming, we had a lot of utopian dreams. A lot of political parties promising their nations that we are going to have a beautiful country, a harmonious country where there is justice, food for all, justice for all. That is how come Stalin, Adolf Hitler, and all those people, China, Mao, and all those people, they rose up promising an utopian this way. I hope you know what utopia is. You know utopia, right? Good. Utopian dream. A dream where nobody is hungry, everybody has what to eat, everybody has work to do. Now, it is this utopian dream our founding fathers in Africa bought into it. Hope you are getting me. So you see, like I promised you at the beginning of the semester, I said most of the things we'll be learning will be relating it to Africa and our context for you to really grasp what we are doing. Because we are going to be the people that will fight the last day 21st century battle for the total economic liberation of Africa, the spiritual and economic liberation of Africa. So you must understand what our fathers were pushing for. That is the reason why most of our founding fathers, they were into gigantic projects. State farms, state fishing companies, state corporations, state transports, big. Like when you look at Kwame Nkrumah University alone, if you look at the sheer land size, it should let you know the kind of dream Kwame Nkrumah had. It goes way, those of you that know up to Anwoma, so way to that place. Okay, if ever you've actually taken school, you get to a place and they will tell you, property of KNUST, and it's like you have even gone out of KNUST, you are in a certain town, can I tell you this part of the property of KNUST? You see, it is because of the dreams they had. Were those dreams invalid in and of itself? No. Kwame Nkrumah's dream to build a great good Ghana, Julius Nyerere, I hope I get the name right. Most of these great men, our fathers that were pushed, when you go to Nigeria, all those great men that rose up, they were pushing for a certain glorious dream for their nation. The dream in and of itself was not wrong, but the pathway. In the same way as you are sitting here, okay, you are like, oh, I want to have a great future for myself. I want to have a great marriage. I want to have my children growing up in a certain way, going to a certain kind of school. Is that dream valid? Yes. How will you go about it? That's what the problem is. But all these two ways, they are promising you that if you choose them, they will all bring you to the expected end. And that's not true. Some of the most painful and unfortunate tragedies of our time has been people with very good intentions, but their ways were wrong. It's not good to have good intentions. You must make sure that the path on which you are passing to achieve that good intentions is good. Or else, with your good intentions, you will commit a lot of errors. Let me give you one common example. I was trying to get the name of this Chinese emperor before I came, but it just escaped me. There's this one Chinese emperor that rose up, and he said that in order for us to build a new dynasty, we must begin with the young folks. Because some of the old folks that knew the history of the past, they are so rooted in the ideologies that whatever they are trying to say, they won't buy into it. So what the man did was that he bent all of the history books and wrote new histories and killed a certain age range, I think up to 25 or so. Killed all of them because the intent was that he wants to begin a new breed of people that can build a new China. These are things that have happened in history. And he had counselors that felt it was good, it was okay. It's the same thing like if you think of Africa. When we got our independence, the black man can govern. So what did we do? We sacked all the white men away. We sacked. And one of the reasons why some of the people didn't like South Africa, Daddy Nelson Mandela, was because he allowed the whites to stay. And some of the black don't like him for that decision till today. You see, it looks nice, but the question is, what is the right way? When you come to Ghana here, Ashantis feel that only Ashantis, they can become great. Gas feel only gas, they can become great. Is greatness wrong? No. But what is that pathway to greatness? Is a great nation a monocultural nation? Or a great nation is a multicultural nation? In your life, the same thing. You will also have some legitimate dreams within you. But then always know there are two pathways calling out to you. Your inability to discern those two pathways will make you take a way that seems right in your eyes, but the end will be death. At the end of the day, your life will become a habitation of devil. Then you contribute to the darkness that is all over, that is seeking to take over our planet. This is the battle of life. The battle of life is to have the eyes to see that way that will lead to true greatness. That way that will contribute to life and prosperity on the earth. That way that will lead to human flourishing on the earth. And all the negative tragedies and atrocities, most of the times it is caused by people with good intentions. Can I ask you a question? I want to have sex, yet I don't want to marry. What is wrong with it? Why can't we come with family planning and condoms and all these things so that we can enjoy? It sounds good. My body, my choice. But you see, as you look over the years, realize that our generation has become more darker. We are sacrificing our children and our future for personal pleasure. Pleasure in the now. That's what is happening. Young ladies don't want to sacrifice for the future no longer, although their grandmothers and great-grandmothers and mothers sacrifice for them. They've grown and they are like, no, we can't sacrifice for the child. So we kill it. It sounds nice. That is the generation we find ourselves in today. It looks very nice. So this is what I want us to see, so that you can have the eye to know and the eye to tell. Oh, are we doing right or we are doing wrong? Today, I found something on somebody's status. I just hope, I didn't get the time to verify, but I just hope it is not true. There was this flyer, I think it was TV3 or so, that was advertising that our president says that anybody that reports anybody that have gold, they'll give you 10%. Is that true? Verified. Verified. The question is that the way to go? In the best of our intentions, we don't use the right ways. And at the end of the day, we create major problems if there is nothing unjust with the way you are going about with this Ghana gold board something. Why would people decide not to sell whatever they are gold to the government? The question is, why don't we say that anybody that have cuckoo that doesn't bring it to the government, we are going to report you? Why gold? But if you are not thinking like this, one day you are also going to become a leader. You are going to have right intentions, but the way you go about it, you create far bigger problems for yourself and for the next generation. And most of the problems in our world, it is caused by men with good intentions. Not men who are wicked in themselves. They have very good intentions, but how they went about it. And that was the same challenge that was placed before Adam in the Garden of Eden. Now, when I talk about pathway, what is a pathway? What is a way? A way is a pattern of life that characterizes a person or a people. Habitual pattern of life or living that characterizes a person or a people. You know, when the Bible says that God showed his ways towards Moses, what does it mean? It means God showed his habitual pattern of living to Moses. So when the Bible now says, go to the ant and learn of its ways, what does it mean? It means go and learn of the habitual life patterns of the ant. So when you say, Lord, show me your ways, what are you saying? Lord, God, he has a way of living. Okay, you are saying God should unveil that word to you. So now Jesus now comes in and says, I am the way. It means I am the true pattern of life, that when men follow my example, it will bring them into life and prosperity. I hope you are getting me. So whenever the Bible says the way, the Bible talks about how that we are not supposed to, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways. Wonderful. A habitual pattern of life that characterizes a people. Jesus now said, I am the way. In other words, he's saying that I am that true life. I'm that true pattern of life that when men follow, it brings them to truth and releases life and bring them to prosperity and human flourishing. Okay. There was something I was about to quote. Good. Let's go to Psalms 1. Psalms 1 verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. Okay. Nor standeth in the way of. So that means this habitual pattern of life, at times it can characterize a group of people. So you will have your way. The Bible talks about the way of a man is a virgin. Okay. That's any normal young man who is rightly functioning. His sexual desires must be towards a woman, not another man. That is the normal order. I hope you are getting me. So here the Bible is saying that there is the way of sinners, the way of sinners, the way of sinners. So there is a pattern of life or a pattern of living that characterizes a group of what? People. So you can have your personal way. Then we have the way of Ghanaians, the way of Cameroonians, the way of Kenyans, the way of Congolese. Are you getting what I'm saying here? So we have the way of a people and the way of a person. Now, that ways is what I'm talking about and what we are looking at here. Now, of all the ways we can have, there are ultimately two ways every human being is going to choose from. If you choose from the right one, life, good success, prosperity will be the natural outcome. If you choose from the other one, then languishing, prosperity, death, curses, lack of internal fulfillment and satisfaction is what will also be what? The outcome. And there is one agenda and there is only one ultimate pathway that leads to the fulfillment of that one agenda. However, two pathways are given to us to choose from, and that is where the battle for world domination comes from. That's where the battle for our planet comes from. Because if there were no choice, human beings would have been robots, and choosing we would not even have any struggle. But because there is a choice, and that's where the struggle comes from. So today we are going to look at these two pathways that is calling out to every human being, calling out to people. And one of the things I really want to for us to go into details before the semester goes to an end is to examine the characteristics of each of these two pathways well. That's what I seek to do this semester, so that by next semester, with exception of those that will complete school and they will leave us, but those of us who are still continuing students, we can pick it up from there next semester. I hope you are getting me. So these two pathways. Now, it is because of these two pathways we have the book of Proverbs. It is in the book of Proverbs you see these two pathways vividly. In the book of Proverbs, there are two people calling, two women. The first one is called a virtuous woman. Her name is Wisdom. The other one is called a prostitute. Her name is Folly and Foolishness. So as you read through the book of Proverbs have 31 chapters. That means if you read one chapter a day, in 31 days, you would have finished reading the book of Proverbs. Now, in the book of Proverbs, you keep hearing wisdom is calling, wisdom is calling, wisdom is calling. Then you hear on the other hand, foolishness is calling, Madam Prostitute is calling, Madam Foolishness is calling. Now, so it is in the book of Proverbs, you see that in this life, it is either people who choose the way of wisdom or they will choose the way of foolishness. The way of wisdom and the way of foolishness. And this way of wisdom and the way of foolishness, they are the characteristics of two pathways we are about to go in soon. Let me show you some few scriptures. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 20 to 23. Then Proverbs chapter 8 verse 1 to 4. Wisdom crieth without. Continue. She uttereth her voice in the streets. Continue on. She crieth in the chief place of concourse. In the openings of the gates, in the city, she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. 23. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I will make known my words unto you. Now let's look at another one, chapter 8, verse 1 to 4. Let's read it in NIV. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance, she cries aloud. So we are seeing wisdom what? Calling. Please, are you hearing me? Now, I want you to know that in this life, there are two pathways. And I'm saying that the two pathways, it really shows itself in where? In the book of Proverbs. So in the book of Proverbs, basically when you read Proverbs, it is two things God is telling you that in this life, it is either you go the way of wisdom or you go the way of what? Foolishness. But like I've always been telling you, foolishness doesn't mean you are foolish. At the height of foolishness, it is a mixture of wisdom and nonsense. So at the height of foolishness, it really looks nice. For example, we want to increase our CD depreciation, right? We want to back it with gold, right? So the government has gold. Look at how the government is going about it. Snitch on your brother for the government to have gold. What do you think the government is trying to produce out of the people? If at the end of the day, everybody starts snitching, if we take the government serious, after the government has gotten its gold, what kind of people will Ghanaians have become? Is that a righteous quality? It looks nice until you begin to peruse the method. So somebody is asking, what should the government do? He should leave that place. Because, the problem of our government is trying to micromanage everything. That is where the problem is. And it didn't start with these people. It started with our founding fathers. All those people that are hailing for Nkrumahism. That is where it is coming from. Here in Africa, everybody thinks the government is a parent. The government must provide our school fees. The government must take care of education. The government must take care of our health. The government must take. So what will your parent take care of? Now that this is what happened that Europe is destroying. That's the reason why parents don't have authority over their children in Europe and America again. The government is not our mother. They are not our caretakers. But this is a deep issue that if we begin to unveil it, we won't finish today. Imagine us as this community, okay? I decide as your pastor that I'm going to set up businesses for you. As soon as you are out of school, come and work in the church business. Who among you will think to start his own business? It will be very few, if nobody. Indirectly, what am I doing? It looks nice, but indirectly, what I'm doing is that I am killing your entrepreneurial spirit. So the best the church should do is to provide incentives. But the ultimate lies on you. You must determine your future. The government shouldn't micromanage everything. That's why our nurses are not entrepreneurial. Our doctors are not entrepreneurial. Our engineers are not entrepreneurial. We are all waiting for the government to suck us in. Then the government budget is now big because we must pay a lot of people that the government can't pay. Why can't 3 or 4 nurses that have completed school come together and set up an alternative or a para-health business to meet the large proportion of Africans that are getting sick? You see, so this is what I'm talking about, that in life, we will always go two ways. Wisdom is calling. Then another one is also calling. But Julius, can you please read for me also? Proverbs chapter 9, verse 13 to 18. Fully is an unruly woman. Time is not on my side, but wisdom is also a woman. The Bible calls her a virtuous woman. Okay, so foolishness is an unruly woman. Foolishness is very loud. She is simple and knows nothing. Continue for me. She sits at the door of a house on a seat at the highest point of the city. Continue. That means foolishness is also enthroned. So both wisdom and foolishness, they are looking for public square. They are looking to be seen. How you getting what I'm saying here? That's why not every celebrity is wise. Foolishness also wants to be seen. Not every role model is wise. Calling out to those who pass by, who go straight on their way. So as you are scrolling, you see foolishness calling on you. Will you stop? And you will go. I get what I'm saying. Calling out to those who pass by. So just as wisdom is calling for the simple, foolishness is also calling for what? The simple. Let all who are simple come to my house. In the same way, wisdom is also calling for simple people. To those who have no sense, she says, stolen water is sweet. I don't want to go into details. But I see, on the literal sense, it is looking at fornication and adultery. But on a bigger sense, what makes we think we can use stealing to build a nation? What makes you think in bringing people down, we can build the economy for it to become big and strong? Stolen water is sweet. Food eaten in secret is delicious. But little do they know that the dead are there. If you go the way of fully, or say little did they know that dead is the end result. That all her guests are deep in the realm of the dead. Please read for us a New International Reader's Version.
The woman called foolishness is
The
wild.
woman called foolishness
Is wild.
is
Wild.
wild. Mhm.
She is childish and knows nothing.
She is childish and knows nothing.
She sits.
So now the question becomes, what does the Bible call childish? Who is a child? Then you go to the book. That same Solomon, who told us what it says, wisdom, who is fully, is childish, now tells us that woe to a land when the king is a child. How do you know a nation have leaders that are children? Or see, they eat in the morning. Breakfast is what they don't miss breakfast. Woe to a child. Oh, can we Ecclesiastes? Woe to a child. If your king is a child and not noble, they eat in the morning. Bible says they eat for drunkenness and not for strength.
Woe to the land whose king was a servant and whose princes feast in the morning. King James. Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child and thy princes eat in the morning.
What does it mean? Woe to thee, O land, when your king is a child and your princes eat in the morning. What does it mean? It simply means that any community that has people that cannot sacrifice now for the future, they are doomed. Your children are doomed if you cannot sacrifice your present pleasure now for tomorrow. Your children are doomed. You are the only king your children will know. You are the only queen your children will know. Your children are doomed if you can't wait to put a ring on their mother before you have sex with her. You are eating in the morning. Exactly. That's exactly what the Bible is talking about here. Woe to you, O land, when your king is a child and your princes, your mighty men, your men of nobles, they eat in the morning. They don't think far into the future and find out, okay, this policy that we are rolling out, if Ghanaians obey it 100%, what kind of people will Ghanaians become? But you see, we only think about the next 4 years, if we will get voted into office. And I fear the kind of educational system these politicians have made our educational system into. Verse 14.
She sits at the door of her house.
She sits at the door of her house.
She sits at the highest point of the city.
She sits at the highest point of the city.
She calls out to those who pass by.
She calls out to those who pass by.
She calls out to those who go straight on their way.
Those who go straight on their way, she calls out to them foolishness.
She says,
let
all who are childish come.
Let all who are childish come. That's what it means to be simple. You see, in the Bible, to be simple doesn't mean the man dresses simple. Simply means you are a child, you are immature. Okay. You are naive. I think that's the best word. Naivety is what the Proverbs call what? Simple and childish. I hope you are getting me. Continue, please.
She speaks to those who have no sense.
She speaks to those who have no sense.
She says,
stolen water is sweet.
Stolen water is sweet.
Food eaten in secret tastes good.
Food that is eaten in secret, it tastes good.
But they don't know that the dead people are there.
But they don't know that the dead people, that is where they are.
They don't know that her guests are deep in the place of the dead.
Her guests, they are deep in the place of the dead. Message. Then there is this other woman, Madam Hall. Brazen, empty-headed, frivolous. She sits on the front porch of her house on Main Street, and as people walk by minding their own business, calls out. Are you confused about life? Don't know what's going on? You see the way foolishness is talking. Foolishness is calling out for people who are confused, want to give a sense of purpose. Are you confused about life? Don't know what's going on? Still off with me. I will show you a good time. No one will ever know. In fact, I will give you the time of your life. But they don't know about all the skeletons in her closet, that all her guests end up in hell. The two pathways. So what are these two pathways? Number one, the Christ way and the antichristic way. The two pathways. Number one, we have what? The Christ way. And number two, we have the antichristic way. Now, the Christ way is the way of God. The antichristic way is the way of devils. The way of devils. The Christ way is typified in the tree of life, according to Genesis chapter 2. The antichristic way is typified in what the Bible calls the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So, right in the beginning of the human story, when God was presenting to Adam that there is a certain tree in the garden, I don't want you to eat of it, God was actually warning Adam of another way Adam will seek to fulfill the ultimate agenda that is not the true way. So when God was telling Adam, there is this tree, don't eat of it. In the day you eat of it, you will die. God was, in a certain sense, telling Adam of another kind of way that exists, that men will think that by that way they can gain the end God is promising them. Please, let me use this example, okay, because we are young people. Who gave us our sexual organs? Who gave us sexual feelings? Who created them? So does God want us to enjoy sex? But how should we enjoy the sex? So you can choose to enjoy or indulge in your sexual appetites in a way that is not the way God wants you to enjoy in, thinking that by that way you will achieve the ultimate purpose of sex. But that is also wrong. So the God that gave us the sexual desires, he has a way by which he wants us to enjoy those sexual desires. Are you getting me? So when God said we should have dominion over the earth, that we should govern this earth under God, so it become habitations of God, there was a way God wanted us to use by which we can get that accomplished. But then right in the beginning of our story, God told us that, men, there is also another way that will seek to appeal to you, but it will lead you to that ultimate goal. Because if you choose to go on that way, the end will be death. And the name God gave to that other pathway is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. These are the two pathways. This is where our struggles are coming from. God, I want to blow, but Lord, you are delaying. God, I want to blow. I want to become great. I want to become very rich. God, your way is too slow. If I go this way, to be quick. That's where your challenges are coming from. Either to choose to go the way of God or to go the way of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This is where the challenge is coming from. And people, for any of those choices you make along these lines, you are either contributing to life or you are either contributing to death. There is no neutral grounds. Even if you are choosing the good that is within the tree of knowledge, it will ultimately lead to death. If even the path you are choosing, it is good, coming from the tree of knowledge and evil, but the goodness is not coming from here, it will still lead to death. That is the problem we are facing. Like I'm teaching you right now, it's not an easy decision like that. Oh, even me who I'm preaching to you, it's not easy like that. I've not arrived. As you grow and you age and you walk with God, the difficult and the tougher these decisions become. This is where the battle of life is. Will we choose the way of the tree of life, or we will choose the way of the tree of knowledge? Even if it seems good. Let's look at it some more. Now, when men choose to go the antichristic way, what actually they are doing is that they are choosing their own ways. So look at something. People don't choose the way of devils by following Satan. All you must do to choose the way of devils is to choose your own ways. Any day you chose your own way, not regarding what God wanted, you chose the way of Satan automatically. You must not hold a candle and say, Shakum, appear. Then I know that you are a Satan. No. That one is the extreme. I guess I'm saying that one is the extreme. All you need to do to choose the way of devils is to choose your own ways. Why? Because to be satanic is to be full of yourself. Matthew chapter 16, verse 23. Then Jesus said to Peter, "Get away from me, Satan. You are not helping me." Everybody continue reading. 1 to go. You don't care. Look at everybody read. 1 to go. You don't care about the same things God does. So what does it mean to be satanic? Not caring about the things God does.